suspense. Nigga, where am I going? Drop the four with my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going? Nigga, I'm in deep like the ocean. I've been in my bag, everybody around me, I'm ghosting. Where am I going? Drop the four with my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going?
We are going back to another episode of HardFoul Radio. It is our first time in the afternoon in a while. I had some issues this morning, was not able to record this morning, but we obviously had to go live. It is the day after the NBA Finals. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I want to be clear here. I'm going to give you two parts of how I feel about the Oklahoma City Thunder. There is the part that we start with, which is congratulations, and yes, more congratulations. What the Oklahoma City Thunder just did is incredibly difficult. The second youngest team to ever win a title. SGA just put together one of the most amazing on-paper seasons that you're ever going to see. MVP, a scoring title, Finals MVP, a championship. It was amazing. To do it with this team so young, which a lot of the criticisms about how people are saying how they played are the results of young teams. But most young teams don't win championships. Yes, did Jalen Williams have a 40-point game and then also a minus 40 plus minus? Welcome to young players. Did Chet Holmgren disappear for stretches of the finals? Yes. Again, welcome to young players. When it comes to how young players perform, whether it's in basketball or just in life, they're inconsistent. There's issues. There's things that they should do better, and we can tell them to do better. But you ever tried to tell a young 20-year-old what to do? See how well that goes for you. SGA, the MVP, Sam Presti, the general manager who constructed this amazing roster, Mark Daigneault, the ability to coach such a very young team to this point. The league's full of young teams. The league's full of guys doing stupid stuff. They don't win championships. There's leagues full of guys disappearing for games on stretch. Those teams don't win titles. They don't. That's just the reality of it. 68 win regular season. A plus 12, almost plus 12, plus minus in terms of point differential of how they beat the opponent. This team is amazing. This team 1000% deserved its championship. This team, its MVP, its coach, its roster construction, the way it played defense, everybody's been saying for years, the league's too soft. Guys can't even play defense anymore. We're calling fouls on everything. The Oklahoma City Thunder played how all of you that like to chirp up and talk about these things, that's how you'd want to see a team in the finals play. You'd want to see them be physical. You'd want to see them play extreme defense. You'd want to see their MVP hitting mid-range jump shots, not just everybody shooting threes. Not once did I hear someone say, you know what, the Thunder taking way too many threes, the Pacers taking way too many threes. This was a hard-fought, amazing series. And again, I'm going to get to it in a second here. But the Oklahoma City Thunder absolutely demand three things. Our respect, this being the second youngest team to ever win a title. Do you know how incredibly hard that is? The best defense maybe since Chauncey's Pistons. And they don't just play defense for the first quarter or play defense for the second quarter. No, they are throwing guys at you. They are harassing, playing full court in large numbers. Every single time Indiana got the ball, it looked hard. It looked like it was tough to get the ball past half court. And while unfortunately, besides take out the injury part during Game 7, when Halliburton wasn't on the ball, it was extremely hard to get the ball past half court. There were multiple steals, turnovers, which led to layups, dunks, transition threes, because Indiana simply could not get into their offense. They could not get the ball past half court. So how young they were to be able to get them to buy into defense. And let's not forget this. And we should champion this. This team won 22 games 3 years ago. Small market. Their stars, Paul George, Russ Westbrook, they had to trade away. Won 22 games. How many other teams have we seen after trading away their star players, being in a small market, not feeling like you're ever going to get the true return on investment for trading a star like Russ in his prime or PG in his prime? They had SGA and a bunch of draft picks. 3 years later, they're NBA champions. The Mavericks, who we feel like in a better position. Are we going to look up in 3 years after trading Luka Doncic and say, oh, they're going to be NBA champs in 3 years? My Pelicans have traded 2 generational superstars. Where's the championships? So congratulate OKC for what they did on an amazing season, an amazing performance, and how incredibly dominant they were start to finish. This wasn't just, oh, we got hot at the right time, or oh, we caught this break. And don't give me the injury stuff. Injuries happen every single playoffs. These guys are playing a lot of basketball. A lot of these guys are on games 80, 90, 100. There's always going to be injuries. You can always put an asterisk. You know who doesn't put the asterisk? The team that wins. The champions. The teams that lose. The teams that feel like, we were so close, but just didn't quite get it. Those are the ones who want to put asterisks, otherwise known as excuses. Now, with that being said, let me tell you what I am skeptical about with OKC. And that is the idea that this is just going to be this great every single year. There is a very, very good chance this is their only title. Now, the people that have been championing OKC since the start of the season or the preseason because of the roster, because of SGA, because of all these other factors, and, they had a great season last year. They felt like they're even better this year. This might be their best season. I don't think we should be horribly shocked if it is. Let's start with the regular season. OKC might not ever win with this current roster, this assortment of players, might not ever win 68 games again. It's a lot of games to win in the regular season, and most of the time when a team is super locked in the regular season, it's because they don't have the playoff experience, and they don't have the playoff memories, for lack of a better wording, to go, oh, this is what I really want. They want to go out there and win every single night because all those games feel like they're important. All those games feel like they're massive. Once you win a title, have a deep playoff run, you start to differentiate in your own head. Well, these games are important, but they're not quite as important as these ones. Well, these games mean a lot, but they don't mean quite as much to this one. Let's also remember, and I say this not as a criticism of OKC, but I say this almost as a criticism of fan bases everywhere. The last several NBA champions, we have 7 consecutive champs, 7 consecutive different NBA champions. And they're all pretty explainable. Toronto had Kawhi for 1 year, got his title, he left. The Lakers, LeBron, AD, during their honeymoon phase when they first got together, took the league by storm. The Warriors, it's the end of a dynasty championship. The Celtics, who were in almost the same position OKC was, where it was this amazing roster top to bottom. Jokic, Giannis, both got titles, the 2 best players in the league by most accounts. And yet none of them repeated. Not Jokic, not Giannis, not LeBron, not Kawhi. None of them repeated. It's hard to repeat. It's really hard. Listen, I've said this more times than I can count. The top 10 in the NBA, we can have disagreements on order. We can have disagreements on, who's 2, who's 6, who's 1, who's 2. That's obviously hotly contested. But you know what they all have for the guys that we unanimously put in the top 10? Jordan has 6 rings. Kobe and Duncan have 5 rings. LeBron and Curry have 4 rings. Shaq has 3. The guys who win multiple, who win 3, 4, 5 plus championships, those are the greatest the game has ever seen. And it takes that level of player, athlete, commitment, coaching in a lot of aspects to get to that point. It's not demeaning or criminal or rude or poor taste to say SGA is not Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Tim Duncan. Those are the greatest we've ever seen in the sport. So if I say, well, he's not that, and historically it's been proven you need that if you want to go on a dynasty type run, I think the world of Jokic. I think you asked me, forget the resumes, just who's the 10 best players you've ever watched play the game of basketball? Jokic probably makes my top 10. He's got 1 title. Giannis makes my top 15. 1 title. So let's stop acting like it's so rude and offensive to say OKC is only winning 1 title. Houston just traded for Durant. The Spurs have Wemby, and we'll see where they go. The Celtics at some point will get Jason Tatum back. The Cavs, who knows? There's other great teams. The Mavs are about to have Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, and potentially Kyrie by the end of the season. There's a lot of combinations and pieces here that could turn this into there's other teams that are going to compete for titles. And let's not forget the second apron and the fact that it's Oklahoma City. Is Oklahoma City ownership? We all think Chet and J-Dub are going to get signed. Cool. Lou Dort costs money. Caruso costs money. The other Jalen Williams is going to cost money. This is not going to be the same team. And yes, Sam Presti is drafted amazingly. But Sam Presti's always drafted amazingly. Sam Presti's always put amazing talent on the court. 1 title. So OKC deserves the hell out of respect for what they did this year. But I'm not going to commit and say, this is for sure going to be a dynasty now because look at all their pieces. I've seen it before. When we come back, so much more to talk about. Obviously, congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 2024-25 NBA champions. We are going to talk more about Sam Presti when we come back from the break. Also introducing, which we finally have a graphic for, our segment of Who Said That Dumb Shit. Looking forward to that, as well as, is SGA the greatest Thunder ever now? More when we come back. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. You know when strength of schedule actually matters? Strength of schedule actually matters to have those conversations when it's too late. Strength of schedule matters when it's the middle of the season, game 9, game 10, game 11, and it's like, okay, you're down the stretch strength of schedule. That matters because that's how the teams are actually playing that year. You find out, are their rookies good? Are their free agents contributing to the team? Are they well coached? That's when those kind of conversations actually matter and start to show up and mean something. When you say, well, they were bad last year. Okay, they were bad last year. What does that have to do with this year? If you believe at all that the team had a competent offseason, front office, players just get better. The Chiefs, during this dynasty run, that's one of the things that's flipped for them. Their offense, 3 years ago, when Mahomes was the MVP, you would have went into the season going, man, we're playing against a top flight offense. You know when strength of schedule actually matters? Strength of schedule actually. And we are back. Appreciate everybody for joining in today. Again, we are in the afternoon. We're back to morning time tomorrow. But again, had some issues this morning. Wasn't able to get to it. So, excuse me. Let's focus up here. So, I gave a lot of crap to Sam Presti, and I've been on this. Tony kind of got me started on this. Whereas Sam Presti, to me, needed this title more than anybody. It wasn't on SGA, in my opinion, as far as weren't going to kill SGA if he didn't win. I think by the end of it, with obviously the Halliburton injury, which we are going to get to Indiana in the second hour, with the Halliburton injury, that might have changed it how people viewed him if they had lost his final. But I think SGA was playing for the most part with house money. He was the MVP. This was his ascension. If he had not won his first title, he would have joined a long list of other superstars who have not won their first title and still had a very great career. So I don't think that would have necessarily been his concern. Sam Presti, though, is really the longest tenured Thunder. He's the longest tenured Thunder. He's been with the organization longer than any player, and I am curious to how that has affected him, because he was there for KD, Harden, Russ, got PG, Ibaka, Steven Adams. He has been here longer than everybody. This title was his justification because we've already considered him. Now, we don't view executives the same way we viewed coaches or players. They don't have that same level of pressure to win a title in most situations. But you're the guy. You are unequivocally the guy. And when you are unequivocally the guy there, because we feel like why this team is so good is because of the stuff that's not. Chet's not all the way there yet for how great Chet potentially could be. J-Dub, I know, just had an amazing season. He's probably not all the way there yet in terms of how great he could be. Just finished up his third season. You're the guy who keeps accumulating talent. You're the guy who we saw for memes for years. Oh, I want, 2 draft picks, 3 draft picks. You've done this twice now. And to finally get that justification last night, congrats to him. Now, we've given you this spot of best GM. Last night was the coronation of the best general manager in basketball, Sam Presti. The same way we give Howie Roseman his flowers in the NFL because you just watch what the Eagles do either with salary cap or with draft picks or with free agency and trades. It just always feels like he's a little bit smarter. He's a little bit ahead of the curve, but he has championships. And that helps justify how ahead of the curve he is. I think Howie Roseman, he's now been there for 2 of the Eagles Super Bowls. So he has and he's technically been there for 3, but they're 2-1. They lost the 1 to Mahomes. So he has the championship now. He has already been accredited and has the foregone title of best GM, but he proved it last night. And it's almost more impressive when you think about this isn't his first super talented team. It'd be different if Sam Presti just drafted. A lot of GMs get their remarks off of, you got the guy, right? Like in the NFL, if you draft the right quarterback, he will keep you in your job for longer than maybe you should have been, even if you start flunking the rest of the draft. The Colts had this for a long time. Drafted Peyton Manning. Peyton was the right guy. Didn't hit on a lot of other draft picks, but their GM stayed there for a lot longer. I think Ballard, who's the current GM, he came in when Andrew Luck got drafted. Congrats, you drafted Andrew Luck. I could have told you to draft Andrew Luck. And you saw the Colts roster deteriorate because he did not make consistently good decisions after drafting the guy. If you draft LeBron or you draft D Rose or you draft Melo or you draft Durant, some of these guys are no-brainers. That's not what I need as a GM. I could pick the no-brainers. And I've always said I can't really do a GM's job. These guys are paid a lot of money for a reason. I couldn't do their job. So this being your second variation of a super talented OKC team, yes, Durant was an easy pick when you got him. But Russ wasn't. Harden wasn't. At least obvious picks. Not in the same way Durant was. J-Dub wasn't an obvious pick. Chet's probably the closest on this team to an obvious pick. And even then, he had injury concerns. Then you draft, you traded, developed. Lou Dort you got, who was an undrafted free agent. You have now put together your second super talented team to go along with the fact of winning your title. The crown is yours, Sam Presti. Now, OKC fans, I do think there's a little bit of worry you should have that someone is going to, in my opinion, Andrew Friedman, from who used to be at the Rays, now the Dodgers, president of operations, that's the best in sports. Because what he did with Tampa Bay for years was just like witchcraft and magic. It was insane. They could field a very that talented of a roster with that few of resources. Then he goes to the Dodgers, and they become a powerhouse because now he has basically an unlimited checkbook. Don't be surprised if someone does that to Sam Presti. Someone just goes and goes, you know what? The Lakers just sold for $10 billion. Their owner's got all the money. He's the owner of the Dodgers and the Lakers. What if he just says, hey, Sam, I will double what you make? Does that get him away from Oklahoma City? Again, to my dynasty little rant at the end of it. This is how dynasties get broken up or how don't get made. You lose guys get a little bit worse, guys get a little bit older. Is someone going to throw the bag at Sam Presti and go, hey, I want you away from Oklahoma City. I could give you more resources, more money, et cetera, et cetera. And is OKC, for as talented as they are they going to only go into the second apron? Does Sam Presti want to experiment going with the second apron with the team? Who knows? Also need to say here, so we finally have our graphic, and I'm so happy about this. So I have been trying for so long of what should be. I've had terrible Twitter takes. I've had dumb shit people say. I finally have figured it out. Roll with me, guys. I watch way too much sports television, sports media. I go on Twitter. I'm on the internet too much. I'm online too much. And so I hear a lot of things said. And I watch ESPN. I watch FS1. And I do it so that you don't have to. I will listen to the worst takes imaginable so that you don't have to. And that's what got me to, what did this guy say? And look, man, there is a lot of bad takes on any given day basis. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that is said that it's like, man, what are we doing? And I want to take this time to just, and this is applicable for everybody. Everybody can get flamed on this, right? It's just, what's the worst thing said yesterday? It's kind of the motto for this. It's insane. So, and I hate to do this to a player that I really like and a player that I'm a big fan of, but Tracy McGrady, what the hell are we saying? Why did he say that shit? Why did he say that shit? T-Mac was at Fanatics, and he's been doing some coverage with other podcasts too, as the NBA Finals have been coming to a close. And he made a point. He was on there with Stephen A. and some other people from ESPN and said, what if you replaced me with Kobe? I think Gilbert Arenas was also on this. Do you think I want to win a championship? He said only certain players in certain situations actually have a chance to compete. So if you would have replaced me with Kobe Bryant and you gave me Shaq, you don't think I could have won a championship? And T-Mac, my answer is no. Or at least my answer is not as effectively or as many as Kobe won. You know why? Because Kobe was better. Now, if we're being fair here, T-Mac, you are a million times better than me in basketball. Let's just get that out the way. I'm not trying to use better in terms of being negative or not trying to, say something just for clicks or I hate when guys are just, derogatory towards athletes and go, well, you just weren't good enough or you're this. T-Mac is an all-time great player in my opinion. T-Mac was amazing throughout his career. One of the best pure scorers, pure buckets we've ever seen play the game of basketball. T-Mac is solidified as you get in terms of you just see a guy play the sport and you're like, oh, he's one of the best at this. Let me be very clear. I am not trying to be disrespectful. But I think it's disrespectful what you said. T-Mac never won in all this conversation about like ring culture and judging guys by championships versus their career, and a lot of that is valid. Except if you're Tracy McGrady and you never won a playoff series. Do you see the difference? Never won a playoff series. Well, that's different than a guy who won 5 NBA championships. Now, maybe it would be, this is about to be a little snarky, maybe it'd be different if you had, like a dominant big man. I couldn't imagine Tracy McGrady ever playing with a dominant big man. That never happened, right? Like maybe if you played with a guy who was so unique in terms of his size and strength that it'd be like, oh my gosh, how are you going to stop him? Because that's what Shaq was, right? He was just so big, so dominant, so strong. How are you going to deal with him? And that's T-Mac said, yo, if you had gave me Shaq, look what I would have done. You know who the one guy who Shaq said he struggled with, like, that was younger than him? Shaq usually gives respect to, like, David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon, the older guys. The young guy who Shaq said, I don't got shit I could do with them. His name was Yao Ming. You know who Tracy McGrady played with? Are you aware of who Tracy McGrady played with? Okay. And again, this isn't ring culture. This isn't saying you're better or worse because a guy has a title versus you have 0. This is 0 playoff series wins. Never. Versus 5 NBA championships. This isn't close. This isn't a real debate. This is I hate to put a player on the debut of this, but why did he say that shit? This is normally reserved for mostly media guys, but as former players want to be a part of the media, and I respect it, I get it, it's totally valid. Do what you got to do. But just you think that like you would have had the same success or career as Kobe if you were on the Lakers instead of him? Just curious. Man. So again, we're gonna be doing that every single day, kind of as a midway to break up some of the topics. It's just I go and listen to and I watch all these bad sports takes so that you don't have to. Let's get into this as well. And is SGA the greatest Thunder ever? So Will and Tony been giving me pushback. We kind of talked about this, and they were laughing at me saying, no, if he wins a title, he's the greatest Thunder ever. I probably don't have an argument in the moment. Defending MVP, a reigning MVP, defending champion, SGA's got the world in his hands right now. I'm not going to try to take away from his moment. He's earned it. Unequivocally, hands down, he's earned it. He's amazing. I do believe, however, when it comes, because a lot of these things are made with time, right? You are at one point crowned the greatest ever at something or crowned however high historically you rank. But you're not always there. You come into the league, you're a rookie, you're a new guy, then you're a first-time all-star, you're a young star, then you become a superstar, et cetera, as, you know, it's time, it's life, it's all these different things. You eventually get to your ending point, but there's no guarantee that you're just there already. Now, in the moment, and I go back to this all the time, right? Steph and Kyrie was a conversation in 2016 after the finals. Because Kyrie hit the shot, had the 40-point games, was basically doing it against Steph, even though Steph's never been a great defender. We all know that. But there's people who wanted to have Steph and Kyrie conversations, and a lot of people. Historically, that looks dumb. And that's not to say Kyrie's not great. But Kyrie just hasn't had the career or is the level of player that Steph Curry is. Just hasn't. No disrespect to Kyrie. He just hasn't. When it comes time for when you look back and say, who's the greatest Thunder ever? SGA will bring his championship to that conversation. It's between three guys. It's SGA, it's Russ, and it's KD. He will bring his championship to the table and say, I have this, you guys don't. What do you guys have? What can you bring to show me? Russ is going to bring his uniquely record-breaking MVP. Triple doubles for an entire season. How amazing he was during that run. And the sentimental factor that after another guy who's in this discussion left, Russ stayed. Russ signed a contract extension. Russ got you back to the playoffs, had the triple doubles. There is an emotional attachment to Russell Westbrook that the other two guys just aren't going to have. Not to say that they're not beloved, not to say that they're not fan favorites, but if you weren't there for Russell Westbrook post Kevin Durant leaving 2017, that was a special season from a special player. And KD is going to bring to the argument, and maybe this isn't fair for this particular conversation, but it's in our head. I'm just better than both of you. Now, we know if it's short-term versus long-term, we could say, well, he was the best player to ever wear a jersey, but he's not the greatest because he wasn't there long enough. In Miami, LeBron's the best player to ever wear a Heat jersey. D. Wade's the greatest Heat. But that's because there's such a large difference in terms of time played with the team. Now, SGA might finish his career there, and by the time we get to this point, maybe it's irrelevant. But SGA can make this all irrelevant if he stays long enough, wins multiple titles and MVPs, etc. But just right now, if SGA doesn't win another title, he's not a better player than Kevin Durant. He doesn't have that emotional record-breaking MVP like Russell Westbrook. Yes, right now he is the champ. He gets to be Mr. Thunder for today. But I don't think this conversation is as open as closed as some people would like to maybe think, including my co-hosts. Much more to talk about. Speaking of greatest Thunder ever and Mr. Kevin Durant, he got traded yesterday. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. Tyrese Halliburton, who is a guy who I was never super high on or super crazy about, even when about 2 years ago he started to build up a lot of steam and momentum because of the 2010 games. Look, I'm wrong. If you want to go to pure basketball, right? There's been a lot of talk this season or this postseason on the internet about we're back in the too big era of basketball. And I've called all these people stupid because that's just basketball. Power forward and center have existed forever. Because we've had LeBron and Steph and this Warriors run, we have felt like, oh, everyone can play positionless basketball. Well, not everyone has LeBron James and Steph Curry and Draymond Green. So no, everyone can't play positionless basketball. Point guards, especially the old school point guard of let me run an offense. Let me get my guys into position. I know we love the scoring point guards. We love Ja. We love Russ. We love these guys who can get you 20 plus, 25 plus a night. Tyrese Halliburton is a true point guard. And as someone who grew up being such a big fan of Chris Paul, it is a disservice to him. And I'll say it, stupid on my part for not ever acknowledging him or giving him the proper credit he deserved. And we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody as always. So, Kevin Durant got traded to Houston Rockets, and there's a lot I like about this trade. So, I've been on the record as far as saying I would not give up a lot for Durant. I probably wouldn't trade for him in most instances because he's still a great player, obviously, but he's 37, has some injury concerns, and I wouldn't do it if I had to give up a lot. And I felt like the name value was going to cause you to give up a lot. But I like what Houston did with this trade. Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, two guys who probably don't fit anymore if you acquire Durant, and the first round pick plus the 5 second round picks. Now, the draft picks are realistically inconsequential. I know it sounds crazy when I've seen the graphic all day today. KD and Luka go for 2 firsts, but Desmond Bane went for 4 firsts. And it's like, look at the team, look at the context. So draft picks aren't going to mean a whole lot, so don't really worry about that. But sliding someone like Durant in, because Houston's problem, and if you're Houston, I truly feel this is how they're viewing it. Houston has a similar issue / it's hard to say it's a problem when they just won a title, but a similar setup to OKC, which is OKC can play great defense. We believe in the coaching. We believe in the overall roster, but they do struggle outside of Shea to get a bucket in any given situation. Shea can do it, either get into the line, get into the mid-range, but Chet's not there yet, J-Dub's not there yet, so it can be a struggle. They can go on stretches where they go on runs the old-fashioned way, which is they just shut you down for 10 to 15 minutes or for a quarter, and they slowly start scoring to help build their lead. They're not how the Warriors or how the modern NBA where it's hit 3 out of 4 possessions, hit a 3, or 4 out of 5 possessions, hit a 3, and get the lead that way. They're playing defense, they're wearing you down, all that stuff, right? Houston is very similar, especially in the perspective of they also struggle to get a bucket. They can just go through offensive dry spells. They scored below 90 twice against the Warriors. So KD kind of fits in perfectly in that regard that, hey, Sengun can just give the ball to Durant. He's been there. He can make a shot. He can help keep you afloat when, you're not going to need him. He's no longer the defender he was, but you're not going to need him to. That team's full of young, athletic, great defenders. And Jalen Green, to his credit, let me say this about Jalen Green, because I know Jalen Green's getting killed too. Jalen Green, this is the beauty of the NBA, this is the beauty of professional sports. You have a chance to go be SGA. I'm not saying you're going to be SGA, but you have a chance to go be him. SGA was basically given up on by the Clippers so they could acquire Paul George and Kawhi Leonard because that was the combo deal. Kawhi wanted to go there. He didn't want to play with SGA. SGA was too young, even though he was promising, not who he wanted to play with. SGA then went to Oklahoma City. Chris Paul was there. And then the rest is now history. They're defending NBA champions or reigning NBA champions. You have a chance to go to Phoenix and be that player. You have Devin Booker, who's your vet. He's better than Chris Paul was at the time Chris Paul was with the Thunder, but that's your vet. You have, let's see what else they do. They're most likely not going to keep Bradley Beal. Like, you have a chance, not saying you're going to be this, but you have a chance to go prove yourself now on a team. Like, you probably have supreme confidence. You led the 2 seed in scoring. That means something. And this trade, realistically, it's kind of good for all three parties. It's good for Durant. I think it'd be good for Jalen Green. And the Suns, you could do worse. Meaning, if you're the Suns, when you royally screw up, which the Beal, Booker, Durant experiment screw up, right? Cool. Call it people were saying it was called an end of an era on Twitter. People are calling it the end of an error. Like, you screwed up, you move on, eat your mistake. When you're trying to repair these kind of roster mistakes, what you have to do is take big swings. Hey, I will take your guy who is underachieving, but I still believe is talented enough if you want to swing quicker, because you don't want to lose all of Devin Booker's career. You don't want to lose all of his prime. So if you're the Suns, Jalen Green is a guy who could potentially be a 20-plus point per game guy for you next year. That's a good guy to have next to Devin Booker. You get your draft pick back. You get multiple second rounds. We'll see what that ends up turning into. But you have to take these kind of swings on guys who are super talented but haven't lived up to expectations if you don't want to throw away the prime of another great player in Devin Booker. So I like the trade for Houston. I like the trade for the Phoenix. I like the trade for Jalen Green. And again, if you're Durant, I said this yesterday, we're going to close out on this. Or close out the first hour on this. Durant's legacy, I know there's people that just want to hate and be mean and spiteful and shit like that. And they're going to always say, oh, he's such and such. He went to Golden State. That's weak, blah, blah, blah. Durant's actual legacy is that he is just one of the best pure hoopers we've ever seen play the game of basketball. That's actually his legacy. Like, he is just nice with it. He has a chance to go still be that same just nice with it in Houston. And if he wins, that's just flowers on top of his resume. Like, Durant is maybe the greatest scorer in NBA history. I'm saying maybe. He's in that conversation. Him, Mike, I always put Melo in there. Like, he's in that room of who's the best to ever get a bucket, best offensive players ever. Durant's in that room. So, and you get it. That's all Houston wants you to be. Just be. They say it's not impacting points. Go see what Houston would feel like if you give them 24 points a night. It's going to turn impactful real quick. When we come back for hour 2, it is Monday, so we obviously have to do hard left, hard right, and much more. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. And we are back for hour 2. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, listening today. However you are listening, whether on YouTube, socials, going on TikTok, wherever you get your podcast from, appreciate you tremendously. So it is Monday, so that means we got to start of the second hour. Hard left, hard right. The thing that I got the most right versus what I got the most wrong. Let's start with wrong. And for hard left, it was, just for being honest, kind of the entire playoffs. So look, I stand by my reasoning for a lot of my picks. But outside of Minnesota making it to the Western Conference Finals, we were swinging real low. Like the batting average, the percentage, all that good stuff. It was real low, man. Look, I thought the Clippers were going to beat the Thunder. Well, the Clippers didn't even beat the Nuggets. I thought Giannis was going to have an amazing playoff run. Didn't get out of the first round. I did think the Timberwolves were going to be good and Anthony Edwards was going to have a great run. That part was true. And that was about the only thing we got right. I thought the Pacers, who made the NBA Finals, are probably the team of the playoffs. I had them getting knocked out by Giannis in the first round. So what does that mean? Sometimes it's just what makes sports cool. You could be the best analyst of all time. You could study and watch game film and know so much of an individual sport that you could borderline go professional outside of the athleticism part. But what these playoffs taught me is it's just cool when you play the games. The Pacers weren't supposed to win this many series, end up in the NBA Finals, Game 7, even with their superstar going down to an Achilles. They weren't supposed to be here. But they played the game. They kept playing the games. They kept running. As Tony said, Tony is the best line of the playoffs. Best line of the playoffs, and it's not even mine. They just keep running and shooting. And that was true all the way through. What's another series I got wrong? I got Knicks Pistons wrong. I would have said that was my favorite upset to start the playoffs. Knicks in 6. Okay, so again, and that happens. Like, you're going to be wrong. You're going to say enough things. You're going to be right about some stuff. You're going to be wrong about some stuff. That's why I try not to get too high, too low. It's just kind of good and fun to reflect on the things that you did get correct and things you did get wrong. It makes this fun. It's lighthearted. It's sports. We're all enjoyers. We're all fans. All that good stuff. Who else did I get wrong? Everybody. Again, the Clippers, I thought, would beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets win in 7 games. Jokic has, which we're going to do. We're bringing back the bar tomorrow for our top NBA players now, going our way too early NBAR for next season, ranking all the top players. And I'll give you a little bit of a surprise. Jokic is still really high. And what Jokic did this playoffs was absolutely amazing. I mean, undermanned, not nearly as talented, on interim head coach, beat the Clippers in 7 games, take the Thunder to 7 games. Just was an amazing, amazing masterclass of a performance. I've said multiple times, if you just ask me top 10 guys, forget the resumes, forget the stats, just 10 best guys you've ever seen play the game of basketball, Jokic might already be in my top 10. He is that amazing. He is that incredible. And so this is why I can kind of laugh, or I can say, hey, you know what? I was wrong, but keep moving forward. But I got damn near everything wrong about these playoffs. Even to the point of when we got to the finals, I made a comment saying, you know what? I'm actually going to pick. I thought the Thunder were going to win. And then last minute, I was like, you know what? We're rolling with the Pacers. Because I was so wrong about everything else that I just thought, well, I got to be right on that at least. Yeah. Nope. Thunder in 7. So again, my luck was this entire playoffs. But I want to impress upon the point. That's why they play the games. And that's what makes sports fun and memorable and magical. If everything was just chalk, if everything was just, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, the 1 seed. And this is a season in which the 1 seed of the 1 seed in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the best team in basketball from the beginning to end, won the title. And that would be a chalk-esque outline. And it felt nothing like that. Playing the game matters. This is why I don't want to get into a numbers rant right now, but this is why people start off conversations, well, technically the numbers say this or the numbers say that. I am already tuned out. I am already disinterested in what you have to say. It does not matter, with all due respect. Play the game, watch the game, enjoy the game. It's okay if you're wrong. But yeah, I was wrong on damn near everything about these playoffs. So, what can you do? Moving over to HardRight. And it's only a day out, so maybe this is a little unfair. But it's been proving true that the Oklahoma City Thunder, despite winning the title and getting to tell everybody, hey, we're the best team in the world. Hey, we did it despite what people said. We're too young. We're this, that. They get all the credit in the world for that. And I started off the show giving them all the credit in the world for that. There is also something that's been following them around, which has been proven true. I know it's only a day out. This is not, despite the numbers, some all-time dominant team. Statistically, this would be one of the 3 or 4 best teams in NBA history, and the reality is they're just not. Now, some of that is unfair. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow morning. But this is just, people just watch this team. And I didn't want to come out here and be one of the people, like Colin came out and was kind of ripping him, saying, look, man, Chet disappeared, J-Dub disappeared for games, SGA was their only consistent bucket. They were young, they did all these things. Now, a lot of those are just, in my opinion, things that young teams do. But most young teams don't win the title, so they deserve the respect for that. But I have yet to hear anyone give a truly convincing argument outside of just reading off some numbers on a stat sheet and going, oh yeah, this is one of the greatest teams in NBA history. They're just not. And I've stood on that in the social consensus, even post winning a title, when this is the time period where everybody gets off the most flagrant takes about a team. Post winning, every champion after they win feels like they're going to win the next, unless you have a unique situation where it's like an older quarterback in the NFL who knows about to retire. Like when Peyton retired from Denver, nobody thought Denver was running it back. A Kawhi situation in Toronto where you're like, okay, well, he's not there, so this isn't really valid to say that they're going to expect it to win another one. When the Celtics won last year, everybody was talking dynasty. When the Nuggets won, everybody was talking dynasty. When Giannis won, everybody was talking dynasty. Everybody was saying all this. Even the people that are saying dynasty with OKC right now aren't saying, oh, this team is better than the early 2000 Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. They aren't saying this team is, they're like Showtime good. Most people aren't even saying they're better than the Celtics, who most people will believe only didn't get back to a title because of the Tatum injury. Now, they were probably losing that series in the Knicks anyway, but there are people who are going to think, you know what, the Celtics were still actually the best team in basketball. The most memorable team, which we're going to get to them later in our next block, the Pacers might be the most memorable team from this run in the playoffs, considering what they did. So, the social consensus is that we all pretty much agree. The numbers say this is one of the best teams in the world, one of the best teams you've ever seen. No one's actually willing to call them that. Even die-hard number guys aren't willing to call them that. So, again, congratulations. They won a title. I was wrong about all my picks. So, what the fuck do I know? When we come back, we will start talking about the Indiana Pacers and the amazing, amazing, amazing run they had in these playoffs. This is HardFoul Network, a place for people of all different interests to come and enjoy their favorite kind of content. Let's meet the people behind said content. First off is the hardest working forehead in sports media. Justin gives his best takes Monday through Friday, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, that's too early for sports, but here we are. Are their rookies good? Are their free agents contributing to the team? Are they well coached? That's when those kind of conversations actually matter and start to show up and mean something. Justin never had a huge passion for school or learning, but sports stuck with him at an early age and uses his 20 years plus as a fan to give you his best insight. Joining him on A&M is Matt. Matt made the mistake of showing Justin how to use a camera.
Like the idea that, like, in a fight, the Toki Toki no Mi is make it someone else's problem fruit. I have magma, I'm unstoppable, and you're like, bet. To the future.
Matt gives his well thought out and informed opinions on your favorite anime and manga and includes his humor and various social takes. May or may not come with sarcasm. Jake is also joining for A&M. Jake has read more bad manga than just about anyone. He is well informed on the genre as a whole, and with his creative way of speaking, he can let you know if your favorite series is actually good or not. Next up is our favorite father. Will is one of the co-hosts on the group chat podcast. You can tell what city he is from the second he starts talking.
Calling somebody the best offensive player in the game of basketball and shitting on them. That's right. I would hate to be like really shitting on somebody.
Will is clever, quick-witted, and has a special tone when he speaks. Will is one of the best when it comes to telling you what you need to hear. Last but not least, the president of the Mina Kimes fan club, Tony. Tony is our other co-host on the group chat. He is also our behind-the-scenes show writer.
The thing that Kendrick says in this song, from Drake liking minors to Drake running a sex trafficking ring to he should die. He told Drake's mom, I think the nigga you gave life to should die.
Without Tony, we would be talking in circles with no end. He's also our social media manager. A man of many talents, some might say, and many opinions. Everybody here contributes heavily to the product that we put out. This network has been a dream of Justin's for years. To be able to do it with the people close to him makes it even better. I believe people have multiple interests and are more than just sports fans or anime fans. This network is a place for people of varied interests to come and hang out and embrace being a part of a diverse community. Please show some love and subscribe to not only the YouTube channels, but also find us on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. HardFoul Radio, every single morning, Monday through Friday, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Group chat podcast, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. release time. A&M, every Friday morning, 7 a.m. Please enjoy. And we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for joining in as always. Sorry, and we are back. The Indiana Pacers just did something that is beyond incredible, in my opinion. So, take away the heart-wrenching part of Tyrese Halliburton obviously injured himself 7 minutes into Game 7, which is unfortunate. It's something that it's going to sound messed up to say, but I'm almost glad he did it in terms of I'm glad that he played, and even though his body gave out on him, the idea of him sitting out because of potential injury, I think honestly would have messed him up more. If he had to live with the idea of, well, what if I didn't get her? That possibility existing in his head could have potentially damaged the player. Because sports is, well, yes, it's physical, it's athletics, it's skill, it's all these other things. A large part of sports is also mentality, how you feel about it, and that stuff matters. And so when you're dealing with that, the idea that he might have looked at it and said, you know what, I can't play, I'm going to risk injury, I'm going to potentially miss next season, which he's going to now miss because it's presumed Achilles. I don't think we've gotten the official diagnosis yet. So I'm glad he played. It's just something about like sports and the gladiator aspect and the warrior, and it's extremely unfortunate what happened, but I am glad he played. What the Pacers did all postseason, despite the odds, like not just odds in terms of where they were at from a, if you bet on them, how likely were they to win a title? Vegas never looked at them as that, even when they were up in against Milwaukee, even when they were up against New York, even when they were up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Vegas never believed in them. Whether you want to go in game when they were down, the game against New York, that the Pacers, if you were to have turned off a TV with 3 minutes to go because it was okay, there's no chance they have their, we finally hit that point of the other team's going to win no matter what they do. They did the no matter what you do. It was incredible, this entire Pacers run. The most amazing thing that I think they accomplished. Let's go since 2000. Since just to be fair, I was 6, I could actually start having a handful of thoughts of my own. We have one guy who, even in a losing effort, was unanimously celebrated for losing an NBA Finals. Wasn't LeBron, wasn't Kobe, wasn't Shaq, wasn't Duncan. When AI dropped 40 points in game 1, took game 1 from the Lakers, a Lakers team that had not lost that postseason, only ended up with 1 loss that postseason. Everybody knew what we were looking at. One of the most unstoppable teams and players of all time, Kobe, Shaq, what that Lakers team had, nobody was stopping them. So the fact that the AI-led Sixers took game 1, that is a moment that is still remembered fondly in history. And the Sixers lost. And to show, and I know I keep shitting on people that just want to throw numbers out there, the Sixers, by any metric, would not have been such a historical underdog. They had the coach of the year, they had the defensive player of the year, I believe the sixth man of the year, and AI won MVP. So they took all the awards. History would remember that as in, that would be an all-time juggernaut team. Coach of the year, defensive player of the year, MVP, but we all knew they weren't beating Kobe and Shaq. It was just they were not beating Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. But we loved that AI performance. It is etched into our brain. It is thought of so fondly. And I think Tyrese Halliburton gave us the second one of that. I think this Pacers team is going to be more remembered. We're going to talk about this more with Tony tomorrow. Will be more remembered than the actual NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder. If it's a one-year thing. Now, the Thunder might end up, if the Thunder, despite what I've been saying, truly do turn into a dynasty and win multiple titles and become an all-time great team, this will start to change. But as right now, the team everybody's thinking of, the player everyone's thinking of, it's Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. I don't think it's, I realistically don't even think it's that close. I think what they did was so spectacular and magical. The fashion in which they did it, we will look back on this and go, yo, you remember when Tyrese is going crazy hitting all those game winners? We're not going to look back on the Thunder and go, yo, man, remember when it was so crazy they were playing all that defense? And that's rare to get from the losing side. But I think they did it. And I understand it's we're a day out. There's all these different emotions. But this is the time where, like, as the champs, you're supposed to be able to say whatever you want. This is when guys at parades go and say, yo, we're going to be back next year and we win in the next 5. And you can say whatever you want because you are the champions. I think everybody thinks more highly is probably unfair because the Thunder do deserve to be able to talk their shit and to feel like we are the champions and they did this, that, and the third. But I think the Pacers are going to be the team we remember more. And some of that is, I'm not trying to be condescending, some of that is sympathy. We knew that team that the Sixers had no shot against Shaq and Kobe. So winning a game was it was semi-sympathetic of, oh man, they might really have a chance. They might really do this. Oh my gosh, like we weren't expecting that at all. Then they lose 4 straight, but we will always have game 1. The Pacers, by almost all expert predictions, were supposed to lose in 4, 5. People were making bets of the year. Pacers or Thunder in 5. The Pacers, despite the odds, for a series and game, and then to also the sympathetic aspect, Halliburton getting injured means, and because he was shooting the ball really well to start game 7, we're going to just human nature. We're going to go, what if? Those magic words. Tony loves to call me if man. But those magic words change how we view things in sports. What if? And it's why we keep coming back. Sports has always been the ultimate reality television. And what do you need in reality television? You need a little bit of that. What if? We need that in life. What if this happened? What if that happened? Would my life have been different if? We love ifs. Ifs help us dream and think of other possibilities. So the Halliburton injury, on top of all the game winners, it just felt like it was his time. And I think this Pacers team is uniquely going to be remembered more so than even the defending champions or the reigning champions. I keep saying that, the reigning champions, Oklahoma City Thunder. And to be fair, that might have also been true with Iverson. Now, Kobe and Shaq ended up winning so many titles, it became a dynasty that's going to overshadow an individual performance or season. And so that's why AI eventually got totally overshadowed. But had that been just a one-off finals, like let's say Kobe and Shaq's career go way different, maybe everything blows up after that season, so they only get the one title. Would we remember AI and the Sixers even more fondly than Kobe and Shaq? It's a thought. It's a thought. Now, let's also go to one of the unfortunate parts we got to talk about. And that's that the Pacers realistically, now this is unfair because their whole thing has been defying the odds and, no one believes in them. But I do think it's fair to say that as amazing as this run was, this has all the makings of we won't see this team in this position again. And that's not an insult. That's just reality. Most teams, even teams that win the finals, don't go back to repeat. In fact, in this era of 7 consecutive new champions, the last 6 all lost in the second round. Those are the teams that won. And we thought, Jokic, he's going to rail off some. Giannis, he's going to reel off some. LeBron and AD, LeBron's going to pass torch to AD. They're going to go crazy. All lose in the second round. Then you got teams that lose the finals, and realistically, the best bounce back is the Celtics ended up getting back to the title a year afterwards. But I don't think Indiana has Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Kristaps and Al Horford and trading for Drew Holiday. That's not how I view this team. This was a amazing story that has all the signs of being a one-off, which I'll be very clear here. That's not a bad thing. We need to stop taking away from the teams that get there, even if it's only once, and not try to minimize their story. Not everybody's going to have, I keep saying this over and over again. Not everyone's going to have Larry Bird or Magic Johnson's story. 3, 4, 5 NBA championships. Not everyone's going to be Tim Duncan and the Spurs. That sustained greatness of success. But what Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers did, this is what we can't do. We can't, to LeBron's point of last week when he said, man, this is what ring culture does, and this is an example of when ring culture gets bad. Tyrese Halliburton just gave us lifetime memories of sports fans. Don't diminish that because he didn't win a title. Don't go, oh, well, that Knicks series now isn't, those shots aren't as cool, or that comeback's not as impressive, or him doing the choke celebration doesn't mean as much. LeBron's 10 years older than me. But I'm very well aware of, is the Reggie Miller moment any less magical because he didn't win a championship? No. Is T-Mac scoring 8 points in 3 seconds or 2 seconds? Is that any less magical because he didn't win a title? These are the things when LeBron's saying ring culture has enveloped NBA treatment as a whole. You can still have these magical moments that aren't all wrapped up into the finals. They play 82 regular season games, and then they go back and they play 4 rounds of playoffs. That's a lot of time for magical things to happen. Steph hitting that shot, Steph's crazy game in New York. They didn't win a title that year. Am I supposed to think any less of that? Charles Barkley, go through his career highlights. Am I supposed to think less of that? Don't let ring culture take away your enjoyment for what the Pacers just gave us. Because it was, without a doubt, it was incredible. It was inspiring. These are two small, talking about inspiring, these are two small market teams. I was alive when everybody was upset that LA, Miami, and Boston and New York were getting everybody. Chicago too with D Rose, no one, but now it's a little more homegrown, but there's still the concept of these 5 big cities and feeling like, oh, they're the only teams that are going to compete. Everybody's got a chance. We just watched OKC, Indiana. Everyone's got a chance if you have the right ownership, general manager, the right guys in place. This was an amazing playoff run by the Indiana Pacers. They obviously came up a little bit short, but what a hell of a run. Congrats to them. Don't let ring culture fool you. And maybe the most impressive performance from a losing team in the finals since AI and the Sixers. This is HardFoul Radio. One more thing to discuss when we come back.